Hey everybody, and Sabaidi to all those people who speak the native tongue. Thank you for listening to Chasing Chantha Visuk. I guess the best place to get started is right at the beginning. I was born on May 13th in a small little village called Ubon Ratchathani, which is in Thailand. My mother was sitting around in the kitchen and she just said, "Hey, baby's coming," and nobody believed her. And out I came, and I was literally born in a kitchen at roughly around, I believe, 8:45 or 9:45, depending on my dad's revisionist history at night. And I was a pretty heavy baby. I believe I was told I was 9 pound 6 ounces, according to the medical papers that I found stashed away in my dad's attic. And so, thus begins the story of me. Let's get a couple things out of the way. Just want to do some cleaning here, I suppose. My last name, Westernized, is pronounced Chantavisuk. If you want to pronounce it correctly, I suppose, if you don't want to offend my parents, you would pronounce it Jantavisuk. So it's very choppy when you speak Laos. If you imagine like a knife on a cutting board, it would be chop 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 chop. So you would go Jantavisuk, and that's how you say it. So if you want to pronounce it correctly, there you are. I don't even think my wife pronounces it correctly, so it's fine. It's Western culture. It works. I know who you're talking about. So growing up in the village of Ubon Ratchathani, also famous for a very famous Buddhist teacher. I'm trying to figure out, trying to remember his name right now. Ajahn Jha, very famous Buddhist teacher and mentor to lots and lots of people out there. When I grew up, it was a very small village. It was a refugee camp, actually. It's where a lot of refugees stayed, kind of like a holdover station before they came to the United States. And I remember living in a very long, almost like a trailery type of living situation, except it was all bamboo house, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Very open. I believe it was three or four families living in there, including my own, I guess. And the kids of the village were, they weren't very structured. I guess is the best way to put it. We kind of just had the run of the entire village, but it took an entire village to raise us, especially me, as we will find out as I get more into it. But no, my parents, my mom and my dad, and myself is who we had, and we didn't have much. I mean, when you're a refugee, when you escape from your country of origin, and you pretty much just grab what you can put on your back, and I just can't even fathom my parents just leaving in the middle of the night and ending up in this place. So growing up, I remember having a pretty decent childhood in the village. I will admit I was a big time troublemaker. I was probably the troublemaker in the village, and my aunt and my uncle, Safoy and Bao E, could probably attest to that. Hey, shout out to Safoy and Bao E. Because I remember being beaten an awful lot as a kid. And I will tell you this right now before anybody gets triggered. Honestly, I deserved every single one of those beatings because I was bad. And like I look at my son now, and he acts up every now and then, as all kids will. And I look at him, and I'll get mad. I'll be upset, as to why he's not listening or why he's constantly running around. He has a lot of energy, and I understand that. But then as a father, I also have to take a step back and realize that, you know, I was a lot worse than him. And so I can't really be super angry at him for doing what he does. But I remember famously one time, I believe it was myself and these two other girls that lived in the hut with us. And we were very prone to just getting into trouble. So one day I decided I'm just going to steal my neighbor's eggs, which he had prize chickens. They were like he had a fighting rooster, which is very big in the village, fighting roosters. Um, but he had these prize chickens, and they would lay eggs every day. I never even ate the eggs, to be honest with you, but I just liked stealing them and then just like throwing them against the water tank, um, just because I like the sound of the crack. And so when they found out, I fessed up to it, and I was beaten pretty severely in front of the whole village, by the way. And it wasn't my mom or my dad that did it. It was the job of the senior teenagers, I guess, which just happened to be Salfoy. She was the disciplinarian of pretty much all of us. And so, yeah, that was like a rite of passage. You were getting ready for motherhood by taking care of all these other kids, me included. And yeah, I hold no ill will towards them. I love them very much. And yeah, so I would do stupid things like that just because, I don't know, I was bored. But that was one of my biggest memories of being disciplined. Village life was pretty great. We had a movie theater. We had restaurants, and I remember this really big water tank that was just in the middle of the village, and it caught rainwater. And that would be our drinking water. That would be our bathing water. In fact, there was a concrete tub that was connected to the water tank, and I think it was to like, you know, to water the not water the animals, but give the animals drinking water, or you know, you can use that to get water out of the well. But we used to bathe in that. Like they would just put all the kids into this ceramic, not ceramic, concrete tub, and they would that would be how we bathed. Um, and another vivid memory I had was just when the monsoons came, everyone in the village would just come out and just bathe, like it was just a huge shower, one giant communal shower. And it was big. Like people really enjoyed that, even though like it was incredibly dangerous. But it was just the little things like that that just brought, you know, so much joy to the people of the village. And it really did take a lot to raise us. We didn't have very much. My son asked me the other day. He holds up his tablet and he goes, "Papa, did you have these games when you were a kid?" And I looked at him and I'd go, "Buddy, Papa didn't even have underwear. You know, not for nothing, but Papa didn't even have pants. Like he was walking around the village, Donald Ducking it, you know, just with a t-shirt on top and just free ranging, you know, on the bottoms, and then just sneaking around corners, popping a squat, and just having at it." So, no, kid, you have a really pampered life compared to what Papa had to go through. Um, but let's see, what else do I have in the village? Oof, it's tough trying to go this far back. I do remember another occasion. Just thinking, and my dad comes back to me, who's still alive, by the way. Just if I'm talking and my voice is cracking, I apologize when I speak about my dad. He is my absolute hero. And I remember one time my dad has me. He's got me on his shoulders. He's taking me to, I believe, to watch the fireworks. Yeah, yeah, it was the fireworks. I don't remember exactly why. I believe it's the Candle Festival, which is a big thing in Uban Ratchathani. Um, Uban for short. But he takes me there, and I'm sitting on his shoulders, and we're going over this river. I don't even think it was a river. I think it was just a latrine, to be honest with you. And he's got a rolled up cigarette in his mouth, and I reach to the front to give him like a big hug. And I remember I burnt my hand on the cigarette, and and it hurt. And I looked at my hand, and I wasn't quite sure if it was the cigarette that burnt me, or not. So I did it again. I don't know why I did it, but I did it again, and I burnt myself again. And my dad, being my dad, just goes, "Hey, you deserve it, kid." He just laughed, and he bought me a big bag of shrimp chips, and we went and enjoyed the festival after that. And oh my God, shrimp chips! Just thinking about it right now, oof. So the shrimp chips that we have are these like they look kind of like French fries, except they're shrimp flavored and they're super crispy, and they do have shrimp essence. So please don't eat them if you're allergic to shellfish. But these things used to come in like giant, long, almost like pillow type bags. And at the very bottom was a ping pong ball. That was like the gift. That was, you know, how when we were kids and we reached into the bottom of the cereal and there was like, you know, toys or whatever in there. The ping pong ball was the toy because everybody in the village played ping pong. I never did. I still don't know how to play ping pong to this day. I mean, I get the gist of it, right? It's table tennis, talk, 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 back and forth. But yeah, that was the thing, and it was a it was a treat just watching fireworks for the first time in my life, sitting on my dad's shoulders, uh, uh, smelling his cigarette smoke. But yeah, that was a big time memory. Another memory was oh back to my dad again. I believe he worked at a cannery because my mom took me to go see him one day, and I remember seeing these like giant, well, according to me as a kid, seeing these giant ships just pulling in, and they would like unload these cans of sardines, the ones that you see on in the Asian grocery stores nowadays. The can it was I remember it vividly actually. It was the red, almost football shaped cans of sardines with the tomato paste inside, and he was just putting lifting them and putting them in the ship and taking them out of the ship. And I remember if any of the cans got dented, the workers would be able to take them home. I don't even think they got paid. I think they just got paid in dented cans. But yeah, you'd be able to take them home if they were dented. So I remember a lot of the workers would just like quote unquote accidentally drop the cans and be able to take them home. And I got incredibly sick of eating those sardines. Um, Imagine eating anything, any time, anything over and over and over again. You'd be sick of it. But imagine eating sardines every day for breakfast, lunch, dinner. I believe you would get sick of those pretty quickly. But luckily, there was a way out. There would be a gentleman called the Bread Man, and he would come around the village in his bike, and he would have his little bells, so bring bring. He would come around, and once in a while, he'd stop by our village, and we'd all stand outside our door. We would be so happy. He was our ice cream guy, but he was the bread man, and he would come to our door, and we would exchange these cans of sardines for a loaf or a loaf, a baguette. Yeah, there you go, for a loaf of French baguette, and he would cut them open, like split them long ways, and then inside he would add condensed milk to it, and so it would just be a French baguette with condensed milk, and it was the greatest like treat for kids. I mean, just think about it, just carbs and sugar. It was probably the best tasting thing I've ever had. In fact, I haven't had it since, but yeah, to us that was like the thing. The bread man was coming, get our stupid cans of sardines that we were so sick and tired of eating, and just give it to this guy. And yeah, the trade off was probably pretty bad on our end. I mean, we gave him an entire can, and he just gave us like one tiny little, no bigger than maybe a hot dog bun with condensed milk. But to us, it was the greatest thing because we didn't have sardines that night. We just ate those. We ran around like a bunch of idiots. We crashed, and then our parents bathed us, probably spanked us, and then put us to bed. So that was village life for me. Village life was great. But, I never heard my parents raise their voice to me ever. My dad definitely never raised his voice to me. And he never raised his hand to me. So anything like that, I don't really remember much of my parents disciplining me because again, the eldest teenager would usually do it for you. So how did I get my name? Well, let's go. Let's actually pronounce it. So my Laos name is Vilapun. So that's how it's pronounced. Westernized, it's Virafan. So, fun fact. Here we go. So you know how the Asian R's and L's work, right? The R is pronounced with an L and the L pronounced with an R. So my name, westernized, is Virafan. But in Lao, it's Vilapun because it's very direct, very, very choppy. Vilapun. And so my cousin Vil, is actually pronounced Virapan. So for those of you who've been calling Vil this whole time, you've actually been saying his name wrong. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. But Virapan is actually pronounced with an R. I'm just saying. Not saying. I'm just saying. But fun fact, nonetheless. And so I guess my next big memory would be coming to America. And I guess that's a pretty big memory for everybody. And I know this trip very well, and I told my parents this, and they were just amazed at the memory because it was pretty traumatic, So we're there waiting for this yellow school bus to arrive. And finally it does show up. And my parents pick me up, it's time to go, it's time to go. And I remember like crying, screaming that I wanted to take my pet caterpillar with us. And my parents, to their credit, actually said, okay, you can bring him. And so we go back into our hut one last time, and in the corner was this little bird's nest. And I guess that's where I kept my caterpillar. And so we go there, and my mom or my dad picked up the bird's nest, and we looked inside, and there was a cocoon there. But the cocoon was empty. And I was crying, just ugly face upside down, smile, crying that I wanted to take our pet caterpillar with us. And my dad said that, the cocoon is empty, and he had either turned into a butterfly or a moth. I don't remember what type of caterpillar it was. Or the ants had gotten to him. And so finally, I accepted my caterpillar's fate. And we got on the bus, and I was sitting on my parents' lap, and the bus takes off. And I remember later on down the road, I look out, and I just see fields of green rice, the tall green rice grass. I'm sure you've seen it in documentaries. And I do remember people working in the field, and they were all wearing the typical rice paddy hat, or if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, Raiden's hat. And then I took a long nap. And next thing I remember is I'm on a plane, and I'm not doing well. I mean, this is a kid who never even got in a car, never even got on a bicycle. And next thing you know, I remember being on a plane, and I was just wildly sick, just air sick. I was constantly vomiting, and just in the vomit bags, and just vomiting, and they would just take the bags and then bring more bags, and I just kept going. And I don't know how much I had, but I do remember looking into the contents of the bag, and all it was rice soup. the most comforting of comfort foods for Lao people, rice soup. And I was just vomiting rice soup. And then I either passed out or I took a nap again. And I wake up and it's nighttime. And we're somewhere in France. And we're on this tram that's on a runway. And it's going to the next airplane. So we're in France. I'm looking up. We're in a tram, and next thing you know, I'm in New York City. We've arrived in the U.S. and we're in New York City, and we have these bags. I don't remember the current name of them, but we're given these bags from the sponsors, the people who brought us over, usually a church, and they have like a UN globe symbol on it, and they had like just various pieces of clothing, articles of clothing, and pamphlets. Probably the church. Thinking about it now, probably the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints. To be honest with you, was in there, and then, and then I kept telling my dad that I was thirsty, and so he carries me in his arms, and he goes up to this water fountain, and I, to this day, Chantavisuk men are not very good with water fountains, to be honest with you. And so he pushes the button and he tilts me in. And what he doesn't understand is that I've never seen a water fountain in my life. So I don't know how this works. So he tilts me in, but he tilts me in first before he pushes the button. So he doesn't know how this stream is coming out. And so my face is pretty much kissing the water fountain spout. Pushes the button, splashes me in the face. I'm drowning, essentially. Like the pressure is just smacking me in the face. It looks like one of those cartoons where they're working in the kitchen and the spout breaks off and it's just like splashing on their face. So I'm crying. I'm crying now. I'm thirsty and I'm crying. I didn't get any water. It just went all in my face. And so my dad calms me down, water in my nose, he wipes my face, he calms me down. And I'm like, I'm still thirsty. Like, what are you doing? Like, I need water. I'm a baby. Wham. And so he does it again. My face, spout, push button, water in the face, crying. And this goes on for, I think, 2 or 3 more tries. And then I'm just like, I don't want water anymore. I don't want it. And so the head sponsor, the guy who's leading our team, goes and gets all the kids a little bottle of Nestle's Quick. Yes, I remember it was a Nestle's Quick, and I hated it. Chocolate milk was just not for me. And my mom, tries to get me to drink it. I didn't want it. I wanted no liquids anymore. I was tired of liquids. And so we go up to the processing desk, and they go, "What's his name?" And so they say, my name, Vilapon Chantavisuk. And he goes, "What's his middle name?" Like, I remember this. Like, the guy is just very, very direct, "What's his middle name?" And, the translator goes, "He doesn't have one." And so the guy goes, he has to have one. He has to have a middle name. And so, just blurting out of nowhere, just Alexander, boom. Suddenly, my name is Vilapon Alexander Chantavisuk. And so, there we go, just like that. And they ask what my birthday is. And they say, I'm pretty sure the translator says my birthday, and it's on my birth certificate, my Thai birth certificate, as May 13, 1981. And come to find out, the guy puts May 14, 1981. So my birth certificate, May 13, 1981, legal document, versus my immigration paper, May 14, 1981, also a legal document, dictates that I have 2 legal birthdays, which is why, if you know me, I celebrate both days. Notice me. But yeah, that was New York. And then next thing I remember is us arriving in Washington, D.C. And my aunt and my uncle on my mother's side were the ones that greeted us. and my aunt, no, not even my aunt, I think one of my cousins, uh, gives me my very first teddy bear, and his name is Barry. I remember Barry very well because it was the first possession I ever had in the United States. And this is August of 84, I believe. And Barry was a little white teddy bear, standard. He was a polar bear, and he had a red bow around his neck. And so that was the very first, like I said, very first teddy bear, very first possession. Oh, by the way, I still have Barry. Barry is living in my dad's house in Rochester, New York. So shout out to Barry, even though you can't listen to this podcast. But that was my last memory of arriving. My memory of arriving. And then we lived in New York City. Not, I'm sorry, take that back. We lived in Washington, D.C. with my aunt and my uncle for roughly about a year or so, if I remember correctly, before we moved out. And I've got some things to say about that. I will hold that till later. Talk about my childhood in more details later. But I just wanted to give a rough outline as to the exodus, I guess, of coming from Thailand to America. That was our first taste, was going through that whole ordeal. So from Thailand to, I believe, France to New York City, almost drowning in a water fountain several times. Thanks, Dad. To Washington D.C., you know, where a lot of immigrants end up, and the capital of the United States. This is, my parents did it. They made it to the United States to make a better life for themselves and a better life for me. And I think that's what all parents want, you know, to make a better life, to give their children more than what they had. And I mean, considering all I did was give my son a tablet and some books and said, here you go, kid, learn stuff. My parents went through life and death, you know, to bring me over here, and I'll never forget it. And as you can hear, I still haven't forgotten it. I know the sacrifices they made, and I will talk about that again at great distance later on. But I think ending it right here sounds pretty good. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate my son listening, eventually, maybe, probably, who knows. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me, all of my social medias, King Kado 81, KINGKADO 81. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, all of that. And I appreciate you guys listening to me. Please, please, please listen, like, share, subscribe. This thing is on every single major podcasting service. So check it out. Let everybody know about it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next week.